Say that I won't make a mistake. I'm a human being, of course I'll make a mistake, but I won't make a costly mistake again.
If you'd like to support the nonprofit, you can head to thepeoplespickles.com. Right now on Denver 7 News at 8 o'clock on Local 3, the search is on for Aurora PD's next chief after Vanessa Wilson was fired. What's ahead in a process that'll take months.
Then addressing the rise in overdoses from the powerful opioid fentanyl. We'll have an in-depth look at the efforts in Colorado to save lives.
And we're just 24 hours from the start of Rockies baseball season, and they'll get a little help from the Broncos' new quarterback to kick things off.
Yeah, the sounds of baseball will be back tomorrow as we take a live look over the city from our mile-high camera, and a beautiful sunrise to start our day, a sign of a beautiful weekend ahead, Lisa.
I'm selfishly thankful that tomorrow's going to be nice. It'll be beautiful out there in the stands, warm at times. I'll show you that here in just a few minutes, but take a look out east from our Viero camera there in Lyman. We have quite a bit of cloud cover out east, but to the west and here in town, it's blue skies, sunshine, and a nice start to our morning. The winds are still pretty gusty. Speaking of spots like Lyman, Fort Morgan, Sterling, we've seen wind speeds at about 40 to near 60 miles per hour, and that's going to continue today. It's going to get a little windier here in town too. Those winds coming in out of the northwest this afternoon, likely between about 20 and 40 miles per hour. So gusts will be closer to 60. Fire danger because of that's going to remain really high. It does get warmer and calmer tomorrow, so some good timing with that game. Today, mid-upper 50s. We've got Denver at right around 57. Same thing there in Boulder. Low 50s near Parker and Castle Rock. Tomorrow's going to be a good 10 degrees warmer. We'll take a look at your Rockies home opener forecast for tomorrow. And then the next cold front, we have rain and even snow, Jason, next week. I'll show you when, coming up.
A lot of folks are on the roadways right now because they are all going to work, because tomorrow will be no work with the Rockies opening day. Right now, that southbound side of I-25, University down to Colorado. A lot of sunshine, just a lot of stop and go traffic. You can see from the drive times down that way, pretty heavy stop and go traffic in both directions. The northbound side still reeling from earlier problems across downtown, so it's around a half an hour on that south side, and 225 is still busy. North side of town, still, again, about a half an hour here and 25 minutes on I-76 down through 74th, and then it starts to break free on your trip to I-25. The rest of the commute looks very typical, except for I-70. There's been a lot of stop and go traffic in here. Not seeing anything in lanes, but 35 minutes is extra 10 to 15 minutes over normal time on I-70 on that westbound side. The west side of town looks okay, and that drive up here to the north looks okay, but a problem in Boulder that we'll talk about coming up in just a bit.
Community leaders and activists are speaking out after Aurora fired its police chief.
Yeah, the city manager made it official yesterday, 2 weeks after Denver 7 first reported that Vanessa Wilson was on her way out. Colette Bordelon joins us with what's next for this community, clearly frustrated with this ongoing turmoil in the police department.
At least for right now, Division Chief Chris Jewell, right here behind me, will be in charge temporarily while the city works to find the new face of the Aurora Police Department. An interim chief should be picked in the next couple of weeks, and the goal is to have a new chief named in the next 6 months. Aurora's city manager says the decision to fire former police chief Vanessa Wilson came down to two main concerns: overall management and leadership of the department. But Wilson's attorneys say her firing is without cause. For her part, Wilson released a statement through her legal counsel saying she's proud of the progress the department has made and that the department will continue to protect and serve regardless of who leads the agency. Her firing comes just a day after an independent report was released, which criticized a backlog of investigations in the department that are still waiting to be processed by the records department. But the city manager says Wilson was not fired because of the records problem and that it really came down to a lack of confidence in Wilson.
As a leader in the community, I think she excelled. I think that she did, in terms of the many crises that we have experienced, I think she did very well in responding to those. I think obviously that was her strength, and she deserves accolades for that. But as I said, there's more to managing a police department than that aspect of it.
Wilson will get a severance package, more than $200,000, which is a year's pay. She'll also get her benefits. We'll be watching the search for a new chief closely. Live in the studio, Colette Bordelon, Denver 7.
Colette, thank you. While the city manager has his version of what happened, activists say Wilson was making progress in building trust between communities of color and police. Community activist Angelia Baker and Aurora NAACP President Omar Montgomery say Wilson was the first police chief in the metro who showed that she cared about her community. But now they're afraid that that trust has been lost again.
I don't think it helped. I think if anything, it may increase that divide.
Even if she didn't agree with us, she at least heard us. She showed her face in the community. I can't say the same about other city leaders.
Baker says the community should consider recalls for leaders who backed the city manager's decision to fire Chief Wilson. We'll have more reaction to Wilson's firing as well as our past stories leading up to this decision right now on the denverchannel.com and the Denver 7 Plus app.
Well, Colorado is seeing a surge in fentanyl deaths, especially among younger people. And here in a few hours, federal prosecutors and local police will highlight what's being done to keep our communities safe. So this morning, we're taking a 360 in-depth look at their efforts, including the current push from state lawmakers to increase penalties for distributing the drug, the progress that a new bill has made so far, and the new statewide survey showing what voters think should change. So we want to start with Denver 7's Veronica Acosta this morning because everybody wants to stop these overdose deaths. But how to do that is up for debate.
That's exactly it. And we have results of a new survey that I'll share with you in just a minute here. But first, police and prosecutors, they'll be highlighting what they're calling this alarming increase in fentanyl deaths. Down in the Springs, they're going to be talking about what they're doing not only at a state level, but also at a federal level to really try and turn the tide here. Just 2 weeks ago, a group of bipartisan lawmakers came together to announce this bill to do just that. That bill increases penalties for smaller amounts of the drug, and in cases where dealing with fentanyl causes death, that bill also aims to widely increase access to things like fentanyl strips, Narcan, and services for people who suffer from addiction. Now, while the bill was widely applauded by those lawmakers involved, a new poll shows Coloradans may not be as thrilled. It found about 3 out of 4 of Colorado voters agree that when it comes to addressing drug-related issues, the state should be focusing more on prevention and treatment, less on punishment and jail time. The poll also found most Colorado voters oppose increasing the penalty for drug possession from a misdemeanor to a felony. As for that state bill, it's set to be discussed by lawmakers on Tuesday, and of course, we'll keep you updated on what comes of that. In Wheat Ridge, I'm Veronica Acosta, Denver 7. And it can't come soon enough. Thank you, Veronica. Trial begins today for an Aurora man charged in the overdose death of a 16-year-old girl. Jorge Shekiab is facing more than a dozen charges, including murder. The teen from Lakewood died from mixed alcohol and fentanyl poisoning back in 2020. Prosecutors say she believed she was taking Oxycontin. He admitted to investigators he provided the drugs and alcohol that killed her. He also faces sexual assault charges. Our in-depth coverage on solutions to the fentanyl crisis will continue throughout the day today. Coming up tonight on Denver 7 News at 10 p.m., Denver 7 investigates uncovers proof that accused serious drug offenders in Denver are falling through the judicial cracks. Our chief investigator, Tony Kovaleski, questioned city leaders about why some suspects are walking away without any accountability. Well, opening day is here for Major League Baseball. The Cubs and the Brewers will open up the season at Wrigley Field this afternoon. It's the first of 7 MLB games today. Always an exciting time. Tomorrow it will be the Rockies' turn as they host the Dodgers at Coors Field. And check out the video from Air Tracker 7 this morning of the last-minute preparations taking place to get the field pristine and ready to go. Today, we'll get an inside look at the stadium and all the new food and drink options that fans will have this season. And take a look at the video from Blake Street, which is now adorned with that big Rockies purple stripe down the middle of it. And a familiar face is going to be throwing out the ceremonial first pitch at tomorrow's game. New Broncos quarterback Russell Wilson is warming up that arm. Wilson has some history with the Rockies. He played 2 seasons in the minors with the team after they drafted him in the 4th round in 2010. He's also done a few first pitches for the Seattle Mariners when he was there with the Seahawks. Yeah, and it won't be long before he's back in the football gear. He gets back to work with the Broncos as off-season workouts start on Monday. Still ahead, a Front Range food desert is finally set to get a grocery store along with more affordable housing.
And a historic confirmation when Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson will be approved to the Supreme Court today.